And then you just refer here.
We're good to go for, right?
Yes.
Are the mic side? Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Monday, September 28th regular council meeting. This is the first of two regular meetings today. I'm going to just read a quick thing about being live on YouTube. So this meeting is being recorded live and is streaming on the District of Summerland YouTube channel. District of Summerland, if you search in YouTube, you will find it. All representations to council, written or verbal, will form part of the public record and be available to the public for viewing electronically or as a written record. Members of the public are encouraged to register their name and civic address in advance of the meeting for the public comment opportunity found under items 6 and 9 by emailing corporateofficer@summerland.ca. Those who have not registered in advance but wish to provide public comment may call the District of Summerland conference line at 1-877-385-4099 and then enter the participant access code 7382948 during this live meeting. All right, thank you for joining us, Councillor Holmes. As you can see, we are a group of 5 today. We will continue with any late items. Ms. Needham?
There are no late items.
Okay, then I will ask that if there's any changes to our agenda. No changes. In that case, can someone please move to adopt the agenda? Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. An adoption of minutes. We have minutes from the regular afternoon council meeting of September 14th, 2020 to be adopted. Any changes or omissions? No, and a mover, please. Councillor Barkle, Councillor Van Alphen, all in favor? Okay, carried. We will move on to delegations. We have 2 delegations today, not 3 as previously anticipated, but the first one is Peter Hay and Dorothea Atwater. Okay, and Dorothea will be presenting on the Riga Arts Festival. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council and staff. I'm Dorothea Atwater, 10409 Happy Valley Road in Summerland, and I'm here on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Riga Festival Society. As you can see, Peter is on the agenda to speak, but I've learned from Zoom how to put him on mute. Thanks for fitting us in today. I will be brief. The documentation in your agenda package explains our situation and describes what we did in our festival this year. Our request today is because of a matter of bad timing. We apply for a Canadian Heritage Grant specifically for local festivals, and the deadline for festivals occurring between May and August is September 30th of the previous year. We understand that the district's grant and aid process takes place later in the year. All we are asking here is a signature indicating that the district will consider giving us annual support as it has for the past 5 years. The Canadian Heritage Grant is the largest grant we received. This year it gave us $16,000, all of which went into the local economy. Without this signed form, we can't apply for this grant. Thank you for consideration. Any questions?
Council, do you have any questions for Dorothea? I do. I would like to know how the Riga Festival went this year. I know that you were online and anticipated reach further and wider than perhaps previous years. I'm wondering what the result of that was.
Well, it was wide and thin, is basically what happened. We had some participants and audience members from as far as Ireland and and Australia, was that the other one? And a couple of other places beyond BC, beyond the Okanagan. But it was fewer attendance than we'd hoped for, and certainly a lot fewer than we would have if we had been live. We had 4 live events. One of them was the sneak a peek at the Summergate Winery. One was the official opening ceremonies, and 2 were held at center stage with the required limited number of attendees, which was 50 out of the seating of 300, so it was very slim. But we did have 13 events going on altogether, and which last year we had 19, and we had an attendance of 1,500 or more, I guess. So it was drastically different this year, but we still felt it was worthwhile going on with streaming. We had very good technical success in streaming once we sorted out all the kinks. So we made a go, no go decision on June 1st, and that's the board of directors, and we did go ahead. We're happy we did, and we learned a lot. So if we have to do it again next year, we'll be far more prepared and far more ready to go with it. But that's the way it goes. We're happy we did it, and we're grateful for everyone who supported us.
Great, thank you. Karen, how do we move forward on this?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Carlson. So we will need a resolution of council to provide the letter that's requested from the festival. So council can debate whether or not they would like to provide that letter of support.
Okay, Councilor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll put a motion on the floor that we supply them a letter. And then we've supported the Riga Festival for years in Grant A, so I can't see us not participating this year personally. So I would recommend that we send them a letter so they can forward that for their grant application.
Thank you. A seconder? Councilor Barclough. Any questions, debate? No, then I'll call a question. All in favor? All right, a letter will be prepared for you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have thank you for joining us. Be well.
Thank you very much.
Our second delegation is Mr. Bill Everett, and he's going to come to speak about indoor tennis. Welcome.
Thank you. So I just brought some speaking notes. Good afternoon, Your Worship, and council members. Thanks for taking the time to have me speak to you this afternoon. I put up my speaking notes to have you guys follow along, but I'll probably actually read from my own. So just going to jump in. My name is Bill Everett. I'm a past president of the Summerland Recreational Facility, Lakeshore Rackets Club. From time to time, as we take on projects, I'm asked to act not kind of ex officio for the club. And in this case, this is our situation with regard to what we see as an opportunity for indoor tennis within the Southern Okanagan, specifically in Summerland. We looked at this project essentially beginning with the challenge. So one of the challenges we see within this community is limited access to healthy fall and winter activities. We basically don't have a lot of healthy physical activities for our youth and active older populations. Because we've got limited industrial and commercial employment, the hospitality industry struggles in the off season, and there are fewer draws for people to locate to Summerland. We wanted to make the case for tennis. Tennis is one of the fastest growing sports in Canada. It's easily affordable. All you really need is shoes and a racket to play. It's accessible. It's open to people with disability. I've played in tournaments against wheelchair athletes. There's a number of others who participate. Any age can play. There's no gender bias, and there's room for all levels of play. Tennis is safe. With fewer than 6 injuries per 1,000 players exposure. This is based on a Tennis Canada statistic. When you compare it to things like football and minor hockey, it's very considered to be very safe. It's a sport for life. Regular play can extend your life expectancy by an average of just under 10 years. Again, this is Tennis Canada. Anybody wants to live long and prosper, either becomes Vulcan or plays tennis. We see this as a unique opportunity. There's not that many times where we have a chance like So there's no indoor tennis anywhere within the South Okanagan. There are facilities in Kelowna, there's a facility in Vernon, and there's a facility in Kamloops, but there's nothing to us in Southwest. Since the city of Penticton removed its 3-court fabric frame indoor tennis facility in October of 2006 to make room for the SOEC. At that time, they set aside some money, $350,000, to relocate the bubble due to the community's concerns and public outcry. Unfortunately, the project never took place, and they've since removed their money from the capital budget. We were hoping that as part of the larger project plan by the Summerland Community Recreation Health Center, if you look at the cost of including a standalone facility, it can be fairly expensive. Certainly to put it up and then to operate it. But including 3 to 4 indoor tennis courses could be a fraction of the cost to build it and operate as compared to a standalone facility. So if it was attached to the current plan, involved in some of the gaps that are currently being met with the existing project, its cost would be substantially cheaper. There's a tremendous amount of community support. So when we first heard about the 3-way partnership moving forward with the District of Summerland, the IHA with the Wellness Center, and the school district with the gym, we reached out to a number of the local tennis clubs within the South Okanagan, and there's a tremendous amount of support for indoor tennis. Currently, we have essentially a 2 to 3 month playing time with shoulder seasons on the front end and back end. Trying to develop any kind of programs with kids with the schools is also very limited. When we've looked back over professional tennis players who are now actually doing quite well at the Canadian international level for Canadian side, Canadian representation, all of them will attribute their ability to be able to play indoor year-round and develop their skills. So we received letters of support and signed petitions from each of the tennis clubs in South Okanagan indicating they would use the facility through the fall and winter months and in the midday during the summer. Basically, it gets too hot to play outdoors between about noon and 3 o'clock in the afternoon through our summers. The clubs represent just under 600 members, keeping in mind that 70% of tennis players are not affiliated with any club. This again is a Tennis Canada statistic. School District 67 has been running tennis programs on their 3 outdoor courts, and based on what we're seeing as a likely footprint for the new gym, it's going to compromise the existing tennis courts. As part of their they've been running tennis programs as part of their physical education curriculum. The high school is the only school in the South Okanagan to send tennis teams to the regional championships in the past 10 years. Students that might play tennis and develop a capability at it can take that to move on to college as well. There's scholarships attached to tennis programs. We thought we'd throw in a note for partnership. As a not-for-profit association, the Lakeshore Rackets Club may be willing to play a role in partnering with the indoor facility, either in programming, coordinated play, organizing tournaments, training, or any other activities that are suited. We've had a conversation with Unisys. Unisys has given us a support letter essentially saying that they would use the facility were it to be available and are keenly interested in developing some sort of a tennis program. In fact, they're currently doing something with our club, the Lakeshore Rackets Club. It's just, we only started in the fall, so we haven't really had a chance to see just how big that'll go. Plus, they haven't quite got their total student body up to full size yet. COVID has put a bit of a damper on bringing international students. We see this as offering some benefits to Summerland. So for Summerland to host the only indoor tennis facility in the South Okanagan, we think would be a big boost for our town to bring tennis players from around the valley to stay and play with the economic benefits that follow. Boosting year-round tennis in Summerland would increase the community's attraction as a family and retirement destination by addressing quality of life and wellness issues in life planning decisions. So when people make decisions around where they want to move to, where they want to be, this becomes a bigger consideration. As a top 3 sport among new Canadians, tennis adds to the reason people choose to move to any town or city. Sport tourism. Sport tourism is one of the fastest growing service industries with off-season financial benefits to our hospitality industries, which essentially get very quiet for the winter months, hotels and restaurants. Additionally, with low operating costs as a portion of shared project administration utilities, and once again, presumed that this would be part of an existing complex and share some of those expenses. Indoor tennis can generate $20,000 to $40,000 per court in annual revenues from program and booking fees, according to Tennis Canada. And what we've seen with the letters, expressions of interest from the rest of the clubs, we think that this would be a very realistic number. So I just wanted to say in conclusion, a few closing facts. Again, these all come from Tennis Canada. So 90% of Canada's tennis courts are unusable the majority of the year. Tennis is a professional sport, recognized and played around the world. Canadian tennis professionals have increased the popularity and demand for tennis with today's youth. Each professional is accredited year-round training for their success in the sport. In terms of multi-purpose use, running sports are commonly used where indoor tennis courts exist. So they typically get set up as a perimeter track. Just have to put up some sort of netting so you can hit them with a ball. Pickleball is, it's not uncommon to see pickleball played on tennis courts. The only challenge with having pickleball lines on tennis courts is that it kind of negates the opportunity to bring in tournaments, things of that sort. There are solutions for this that tend to be a little on the pricing side, but because this is a common challenge, what a lot of organizations are doing is they're putting in either one technology is a glass floor. It's a roughened glass floor that has the lines lit from the underside. Or there's LED lighting that's projected above that shows only the sport being played at the time. Simply program it in, those court lines come up, and that does away with the lines issue. So that is essentially my presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us. Does anybody have any questions?
Councillor Barfoot.
Yeah, the solutions for using a court for both pickleball and tennis, you said they're pricey, but probably not as pricey as building two separate facilities.
Agreed.
Do you have an idea just, how expensive that would be, like the LED lighting or the underneath lighting?
Very good question. I'm afraid I don't have that information at hand. We've seen it done in different places, but I don't have that number. LED lighting as a lighting option, though, is not an expensive medium for its use, but I think the cost would be in the hardware program.
Right, thank you.
The one thing I would like to add, though, is we didn't go into a whole lot of work towards trying to find costings for either the construction cost of either the bubble or its addition to this existing capital plan, because we have already got architectures that are going to be working on this if it's deemed reasonable to include it in the proposal. So I thought all these things would be addressed at that time.
Councillor Van Alphen and then Councillor Barfoot.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Have you done a presentation with the school district?
No, we did have a conversation with the school district. They were just starting up their school when we opened it up, and the timing wasn't right. So it is an interesting proposal because they're frankly using their existing tennis courts, and they're going to lose them. So the question is, what will they do? And we just thought it was something to bring to you, introduce you to this concept. Also, we see this as a three-way partnership, so that it may be that somehow that's a shared facility. You work out some sort of shared partnership in terms of the use of the facility, something like that. And where the capital comes from is part of that discussion as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Barfoot.
You sort of touched on one of my questions is where do you see the money, the capital to build a facility like this come from? And do you see it, if it was a partnership, say, used by the school during the day and then a revenue, like a fee for pay to play in the evenings and such when the school wasn't using it? Is that...
Absolutely. So with regard to the capital costs, we were suggesting that it would be part of this capital project that's being put together today. It would be a municipal facility. It's specifically municipally owned or owned in terms of its partnership under current structure, which means some portion of the capital cost going into the gym is put towards its facility as well. But with regard to the user fee structure, the business model is always best on the base of programming. So it's student training, it's kids, youth programs, it's getting people to come in and pay drop-in fees, much like you would with any other municipal facility. Use of the swimming pool, for instance.
Councilor Trainer?
Bill, did you provide all this information to the groups that are doing the consultation work for the facility?
Yes.
You did,
So,
okay.
we did.
Okay.
We participated, I did participate as a stakeholder group as well. We're happy to see that indoor tennis was one of the boxes that had to be included in the survey that was just being conducted. So they are considering it, and we just wanted to have a chance to pitch you ourselves, because you'll be seeing their recommendations that come through.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm just glad that they were able to capture all of the points that you shared with us today. So that's good. Great, thanks.
Councilor Holmes?
Thanks. I have a question for staff. I'm just wondering, with the steering committee on the for the rec center, the idea is to replace the existing swimming pool and existing school gym. But has there been any discussion on the steering committee about the fate of those tennis courts as well? And if that's considered as part of the project, or what can you talk about what's going to happen to them?
Through your worship?
The steering committee for the Community Recreation and Health Center project has not discussed outdoor tennis courts or indoor tennis courts at this point. This was brought forward through the stakeholder session, so it was kind of new to the committee and new to the consideration of an expanded scope for the project. So it has been included now in the community engagement, and the information is being collected, but as a steering committee, we haven't discussed it.
Yeah, follow up?
Just to follow up. Yeah, I meant to in terms of I guess the footprint of the rec center, and envisioning that the school gym is going to be replaced basically where it is, and the swimming pool is going to be replaced. So those two buildings will be gone, but if you consider that whole campus, if you will, and there's 3 tennis courts in the middle of that campus right now, has there been any discussion on what would happen to those tennis courts?
Yeah, we haven't talked about location or size at this point. So right now the focus is on gathering the needs. So what are the various needs? And then once we identify the potential size, then we would be looking at footprint and where that could be placed, whether it's on that site and is there space there, or potentially another site. But we haven't, I do understand that through the school district that there could be an impact to the courts with the construction of the gymnasium. They haven't finalized their detailed design for the gymnasium, but it could be impacted. I asked them what their plans are. If you take out a corner or one of the courts through the gymnasium project, and they said they have not the school district has not had any discussions on what their plans are for those courts yet.
Councilor Barlow?
Has the school board indicated how big this new gymnasium would be? Is it just to tear down the old one and put a new one in its place, or is it going to be a lot bigger, which is why it might impact the courts? Or would they want to build it in somewhere else so they have a gym and not tear down the old one until they have the new one built? Have they talked about those things?
They've put a rough budget together, but they haven't done the full scope of the size or the needs. The next step in the process is to talk internally through the school and the students and the staff as far as the size of the replacement. So my understanding is very similar to like, but it will, I'm hoping it'll be a larger gym floor, because the gym floor is a little bit smaller than other high school gyms in the region. So, but they don't have any detailed design at this point. It's just conceptual.
Conceptually, they're looking maybe bigger, maybe in the same place. We don't know. None of those things, not even that concept.
I'd have to defer to the school district staff on that. I haven't seen any drawings. I haven't seen any concept drawings, so I can't comment on that.
You know, those big questions have to be ironed out.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. You speak of these lines. Would badminton also be a sport played in an indoor tennis
Yes,
location?
potentially. So the issues around most of these sports tend to be around ceiling heights and that type of thing, but otherwise, yeah, the common can be used in the same facility.
And I know that Summerland, there is an indoor badminton club and there's a group that runs that. Have they been, maybe this is for Ms. Mullen, have they been involved in any of the conversations or involved with the racket club conversation?
So not directly with the racket club. There was a time, I should point out, I think it was last summer, where we had a meeting with all the racket centers within Summerland, just to try to get some sense of what our similarities were and what we could do together, because you're probably aware that the badminton club building is very old and might to some degree be compromised. And pickleball was looking for more indoor facilities that they could play for the winter and some outdoor facilities, frankly. And so we had a conversation with them around, because the Lakeshore Rackets Club considers itself to be kind of a rackets center. It would be great if we could just pool all of our resources and do it all in one spot. And so there was some interest in that concept. And yet, along with that was also, sort of everybody wants to keep what they have. And so we didn't really move forward with that thought, but there was some discussion around it.
Okay, thank you. So, Lori, with that, I know we're currently also having a conversation about pickleball and tennis. That's another one of these priorities we're focusing on. I'm just wondering if maybe it's worth finding out from you whether that conversation with badminton, pickleball, tennis has happened at the district level. Is that something that's would be thoughtful if we're talking about even considering this, to make sure that if we do it, then we get everybody on board so that it's actually worthwhile? Because I'd like to know if there's an option there or not.
Yeah, the badminton club is listed as one of the stakeholder groups, so they will have completed a questionnaire about their needs and their gaps. So they are engaged, they're on the list. I haven't seen what their results of their questionnaire is yet, but they're definitely one of the stakeholder groups.
And they own that facility, correct? There's not, the district doesn't own that piece of land.
That's my understanding, if it's their facility, yeah. It's not a district facility.
Anybody else? No? All right, so, Councilor Holmes.
Yeah, just a comment more than anything. I think at some point, and I guess this will come to us as we discuss the rec center more and more, but I think one thing we need to have a discussion about is what our community objectives are for the rec center and what we want. And our former mayor, Peter Waterman, used to always tell about how he came to settle in Ticton and raise his family here because it didn't have it, or not, sorry, Summerland, and because Summerland had a swimming pool. And at that time, the previous generations, having a swimming pool and an arena in a community were seen as necessities for attracting young families. And today, as Bill mentioned, tennis is one of the top 3 sports for new Canadians. The other 2, I believe, being soccer and basketball. And I think Tennis Canada says 1/4 of all tennis players are born outside the country. And if you consider who are young families today, it's the immigrant populations. And I think as we get further down the road, we need to start thinking, is this a facility that will attract young families, and what can be done to do that?
We need our own little Alfonso babies, I guess, in Summerland. So let's find some indoor facilities so we can do things year round. There's also some young families on council.
Yes, thank you for recognizing me.
Anyways.
If I may, on that point, so when my children were young, and you'll probably cross this point as well, but I told my kids, you can do any activity you want. Doesn't matter to me, any activity you want, as long as you can do it in Summerland. Because I'm not going to be driving to Penticton every single day for you to do this.
Good idea.
And so my son ended up playing hockey because he couldn't do rugby here. My daughter did figure skating because he couldn't do gymnastics here, right? And as a hockey guy, I think hockey's the best sport in the world. I thought that was great. I was very happy with that. But if you think of sports that are available here for children, they're not really the sports that are of interest to a diverse population. It's a very, as somebody told me recently, those preferences are shown by white privileged folk. And that's what's available here. And I think if we're talking about tackling systemic racism and institutional bias and things like that, we have to look at all the services and facilities that we operate. We have to look at ourselves and is there a way we can address that through what we provide?
That's a really good point. Thank you. Anybody else? Rory.
I'll just add that through the stakeholder meeting, and thank you for presenting your ideas, that our consultants did take back an action to look at a multi-purpose facility and how different sports could be integrated into a tennis facility. So they indicated that multi-purpose is the way of the future versus a single-use facility, recreation facility. And so I think they are going to look at some of the options that could be potentially an indoor tennis facility, but also accommodating various other sports. So awesome. We're curious to see what comes back from that.
Great, thank you very much. I think with that, we will say thank you, Bill. And if we need to receive that for information, Ms. Needham, is that? All right, Councillor Van Alphen will move that, and Councillor Barkle. Any more questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is number 6, which is the public comment opportunity. Ms. Needham, do we know if there's anyone on the phone?
There is no one on the phone.
No one on the line. Okay. We will carry on to number 7. Summerland Sanitary Landfill alternate daily cover, an early budget approval. I will pass this one over to Candace and Chris, I believe, Public Works, for an update on what this means. Do a little shuffle.
Good afternoon and thank you. The Summerland landfill currently operates an active phase where we bury our waste, and at the end of every day, it's a requirement within our operating certificate to cover our waste with 6 inches of clean daily cover. At the moment, we do this the majority of the time. We try our best, but with alternating or with the hours and the time that residential trucks come in, sometimes they come in past the hours that our operator is available on site or works. One of the other things that we find is that when they're coming in later in the day, it doesn't provide enough time for our operator to actually get the work compacted and covered. And so what happens when you don't have that ability to quickly cover it up and you have to spend time covering it with daily cover is bears and wind and birds will scatter the material in the evening, and the next day it's all over the site and in the backwoods. Additionally, that space that is taken for the daily cover of the soil is available space that we could be using to bury additional waste and then charging additional money. So what we had in the budget last year, we had put in for the 2023 budget was the purchase of a brand of alternate daily cover, which is a big, thick slab of steel in pieces that can be lifted with your loader or your excavator and placed on it instead of utilizing it with the daily cover of soil or other materials that you can use. And so we would like to proceed with an early budget approval to have that removed for $50,000. It's been estimated by our consultant, Curling Hansen and Associates, that it will extend the life of the landfill the full life, not just this cell, but in the next cell also, so the 2 cells we have approved to proceed with by additional 15 years. And it will also bring in an additional approximate $17 million at today's tipping fee for the airspace that we would be utilizing for waste instead of daily cover. So we would like to proceed with that to help with efficiencies for the landfill operator, to prevent having the waste scattered in the back of the landfill and on site, and to provide an additional area to protect our airspace, active space. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't know if anyone else is having a hard time opening that one. It's not opening on my. I tried that. Okay, well, I can see the other stuff, other parts of it, and I appreciate the description. Council, do you have any questions for Ms. Pilling? Yes, Councilor Van Alphen?
No, not a
No.
question, just comment. You know, I think that if we can extend our life expectancy of our local landfill and brings in X amount more revenue, you know, potential revenue for the future, I think it's a good investment and something we should look at.
Councilor Barco?
I mean, obviously, if they've looked at it and thought about it, it's a good thing and everything, but I don't quite understand. Are you saying that there might be an area that they haven't filled to as high as it would normally go with garbage, but they have to cover it because it's the end of the day? So then that space is wasted because they've added additional fill for that area than you would normally, you know, if it had reached the garbage had reached its planned level.
Yes, through to Madam Mayor, I guess. So the way a landfill cell is built, it's built in large pockets within inside the whole area. And you'll have, each pocket has a thick outer cover to help protect with what they call vector issues. So like it being picked with through from animals or when you're in,
So how,
and also
excuse
to
me,
prevent.
just how big is this pocket you're talking?
Oh, they're just done in separate little mini pockets, but within those mini pockets, every day, at the end of every day, we are mandated to cover our waste. So at the end of every day, we pack down our waste and then we cover it with 6 inches of clean fill. And then the next day we start on top of it again, we add more waste and then we pack it in 6 inches, pack it in 6 inches. And then the whole point of the outer kind of mini cells within it is so that we still have the fire protection. So you can't ever get rid of that outer cell, but if you can do the layers within that inner cell, it saves a huge amount of airspace. And then that airspace could be filled with waste as you move forward, and we bring in fees from that. And it also helps, rather than grabbing a bucket every time we want to go and then spreading it, bucket spread it throughout the day. At the end of every day, these big metal sheets basically is what they are. They have hooks on them for the loader, and it comes in, you place them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as you go just down, and it covers the whole waste for the day. So it makes it really hard for wind or any birds or any bears to get into it, even whereas now they can dig through your 6 inches of waste or 6 inches of daily cover and spread it around. And then, so those are there. And then when we finally get to the point that that mini cell is built, we'll put a layer of, we actually put a foot of clean fill around it so that it's kind of like a mini pocket. So if the fire was ever to start, that would happen in the mini pocket instead of the whole cell, and you might have more control.
So so instead of adding 6 inches every day, you would just add a bunch at the end of whatever days it takes to fill that mini pocket?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Every day we would just be utilizing these metal sheets, these big, they're like about probably 4 to 5 inches thick, and they're quite long. They're 2 meters by 10 meters, and they fit on top. And you just drag them and put them down on top of your clean, your waste that day. And it also helped too on those days when the residential trucks are coming in right before the operator leaves, to give him an opportunity to get it covered rather than leaving it before his shift is over.
Good. Councilor Trainer?
Sorry if I missed this.
but I just wanted to know, you guys have this budgeted in 2023, but you wanted to do it now. Was there a reason that you wanted to do that other than just extending the life of the landfill?
Yes, through Madam Mayor, we want to have a look at it now just because we're finding that as our community is growing and as the waste is growing, what's happening is the residential trucks that come in, they're coming in later and later every day, and they have, within their contract, they have the ability to come in during all operating hours. But our operator is only there from, well, originally his shift was 7 to 3, now it's 7:30 to 3:30 because we bumped him later so that we can accommodate that. But still, there's lots of times that they're coming in right before he's leaving and he's ending up having to work overtime so that we can make sure it gets covered. Or if he has other obligations, it's getting left. And then it gets spread out and into the back area. And it is something that was commonly done before, was to leave the waste at the end of the night when the residential trucks came in and the operator had already left or wouldn't have time to do it. And we are trying to make sure that we're no longer doing such things. So it would make life a lot easier up there if we have these. They're very quick to put on in place and cover up, and then so yeah, if he's about to leave, he can still get it done without having to work overtime or maybe 10 or 15 minutes overtime instead of working an extra hour.
Thank you. Councillor Barkle.
I guess the bigger question is, why didn't we do it last year? Makes sense.
Someone, yes, someone wants to bring this forward. Councillor Holmes, do you want to read it for us, please?
Yeah, I move that the alternate daily cover Iron Grizzly 2023 general capital project be reallocated to 2020, and that the alternate daily cover Iron Grizzly project budget of $50,000 be funded from the landfill improvement reserve account.
And seconded by Councillor Van Alphen. Any more questions or comments? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to electrical division, ICIP RNC grant on voltage conversion. I will pass this one over to Jeremy Storable, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As per the council meeting September 14th, council elected to put forward the voltage conversion as part of the grant application. So as part of that application, we need a resolution from council supporting the application. So that's all in the report here. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Council, any questions for the manager of the electrical utility? No. All right, if someone wants to bring this forward, please. Oh, Councillor Barkle.
You have a little note in there, your sort of class 3 estimates, minus 20 plus 30%. And if, for example, we get the grant and it turns out to be a bit more expensive than we expected, can we just scale back the amount of work so that we just do the amount of work that the grant is funded? And if, prices have gone down, then we do more work, I see.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Madam Mayor, the project is definitely scalable because it's all transformer replacements, structure replacements. So we can execute the amount of project that the project dollar amount is for. And in the resolution here, or in the council report, we haven't identified a specific feeder to do the conversion on. So I've said that feeder 649 is the most likely candidate. It's one of our largest feeders, so probably one of the most expensive of the 9 feeders that we have. So we could also choose a different feeder if we wanted to when the detailed design is completed and we know those costs. Yes, we can make some decisions at that point.
Anyone else? Councillor Trainer.
Do you know when you find out about whether we get this or not? That's correct.
I don't have a microphone. My understanding is it would be sometime in either the early spring or
Or not
into-
far.
Yes.
Okay, so the springtime, okay.
Anyone else? Can someone bring this forward, please? Councillor Holmes, thanks.
An application to the ICIP Rural and Northern Communities Program for the Summerland Electric Utility Voltage Conversion Project for a total cost of $1,843,700 be submitted. And further, that council supports the project and commits its share of $184,370 to the project funded through the electric capital reserve.
Seconder, please. Councillor Barkle. Any more questions, council? Call the question then, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Jeremy. We have another grant application, Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, grant application for Giant's Head Mountain Trails Project Phases 3 and 4. This one I will pass over to Ms. Mullen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Similar to Mr. Stolroth's report, this is a follow-up from the Director of Finance's report of the September 14th council meeting to support an application for grant funding for the ICIP Community Culture and Recreation Program for the Giant's Head Mountain Trails Project Phases 3 and 4, and to commit the required 26.67% district share of project funds. As per the report, it outlines the details of the scope of work for phases 3 and 4, and we do require a council resolution to proceed with the application. This particular application is due on Thursday.
Sue. Anyone have a question? Yes, Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, do we know why we're required to pay 20-some% of this project and the last one was only 10%? Is that just the way they're set up, these funds are set up?
Through the chair, yes, Councillor Holmes, it's just the way the grant application and the agreement between the federal and provincial governments came out.
Anyone else? I just have a question or a comment. I know that it's a Giant's Head Mountain is a park, and that a lot of the trails and all the work that's gone into it is it's been costing a lot of money for grants and for Rotary Club and for the district. I've noticed that there's nowhere for people who are enjoying it or perhaps would like to contribute something. And I'm wondering if any conversation has ever been had about there being a dedicated place where people can go online to donate to the maintenance and long-term upkeep of Giant's Head Park. And once we've invested millions of dollars into it, it'll continue to be something that people perhaps would like to contribute to somehow. And I know that there's places where I think Pulpit in Nelson, for example, you can go online and you can donate to maintain some of those. I'm just wondering if that's something that's ever come up or if it's something we could, anyone have any thoughts on? Oh yeah, without being a Dropbox, because I don't think those work very well these days. But now that it's really easy to send money online, I'm just wondering if that's been any conversation perhaps. Councillor Trainer, do you know?
I think Pulpit in Nelson is run by a society, like a private society. And Giant's Head doesn't have a Friends of Giant's Head Park
Maybe it should.
yet.
Just something to put out there. But
I think it's a good idea because people might want to leave money
yeah,
or give money or whatever to that park because some people use it and
It's free parking, right? So maybe they'd consider it their parking fees. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you. I think it's a marvelous idea. I think, there's always people that, leave their legacy behind and want to contribute to something so positive in our community. And I think, those things do happen, and I think there should be an opportunity for that. I also think there should be an opportunity for service clubs other than Rotary. Park benches, that type of thing. I think there's so many opportunities, but it just takes time. And, but I just think the opportunities are there. And there's a lot of wonderful service clubs in our town that, not just Rotary, that may want to supply some park benches or picnic tables and preferred locations. And I think it's definitely an avenue we should look into further. Thank you.
Just because you need more work, I'll just throw that idea out there. Thank you very much. So council, if there's any more questions or comments, or if someone would like to bring this forward. Councillor Barco.
I'll bring the motion forward as written in the agenda.
All right, that's 1.682782, so $1.7 million in grant application with a contribution from the district of $450,000, give or take. Second, Councillor Van Alphen. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, 7.4 is a Parks and Recreation update. I will pass this over to Ms. Mullen as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. The purpose of this report is to provide council with an update on Parks and Recreation operations and projects that are coming up, as well as projects in process, and to discuss the transition into phase 2 of the Summerland Aquatic and Fitness Center operations. So I'll just start with the arena. We had a successful summer this summer for the arena, actually our best ever revenues. We brought in over $50,000 worth of booking revenue in 2 months, which was phenomenal. So they did say they needed it open, and that came through with the user group usage. We continue to have consistent bookings through the fall. We're looking to introduce public skating opportunities after Thanksgiving. We are going to keep the concession closed for the recent, probably through 2021. And the only significant budget impacts that we're seeing, we are expanding the time between groups. So historically, we've had 15-minute buffer between one group coming in and another group going out, and that's going to be expanded now to 30-minute gaps to reduce the opportunities of people bumping into each other. And we're also anticipating a reduction in tournaments for this upcoming season. The curling club is scheduled to reopen after Thanksgiving weekend, which is consistent with previous years. They have an extensive COVID safety plan and have enhanced protocols that they're putting in place. They're following the guidelines of Curl DC as well as Via Sport, and they will maintain less than 50 people at all times for all their activities throughout the season. We've implemented indoor recreation programs starting this fall. We've had good success with registration. We weren't really sure how many people would come out and register for our programs, but we've seen 42 programs running this fall in comparison to last year. It's just only 6 less, so we're happy with that, and we've got enhanced protocols in place and COVID waivers that all participants are signing. Center Stage Theatre, now that the school is open, they have put a halt on bookings of that space. We're also not gaining access to school facilities to run our program, so they're still in a holding pattern before they open that up for public use. As far as parks, our gates remain closed at Giants Head Mountain and Dale Meadows Sports Complex. However, we are opening the gates during the weekday daytime for school drop-off for Giants Head Elementary School. It's required to spread out their drop-off and pick-up time, so we do have it open for them, and that will continue until, my understanding through the principal, until the weather turns. It gets a little bit mucky out there. The only confirmed sports field booking that we have this fall is for youth soccer, and they are playing 3 different sessions on Wednesdays after school and evening. And with the new VIA Sport guidelines and moving into phase 3 of sports, we're anticipating to see outdoor sports coming back into play on our sports fields next season with modified gameplay. Our seasonal park washrooms, that's Memorial, Peach Orchard, Rotary, and Powell, will close for the winter the beginning of October, which is standard time that they get winterized, and the other remote washrooms and the toilets remain closed. So as far as the Summerland Aquatic and Fitness Center, we opened our facility on September 8th for phase 1, which included reduced hours of operation, reduced activities, reduced number of participants, dedicated time slots for participation. We scheduled 15 minutes buffer between the time slots. We had online pre-registration and a midday shutdown for enhanced cleaning protocols. So with our software program, we did experience some glitches as we tried this new program. So about a week and a half in, we switched over to a different format, and it seems to be working well, and we've got hopefully our computer glitches worked out. We did see a significant decrease in participation, which we expected for our drop-in activities, but we wanted to limit capacity so we could observe physical distancing. We are getting we do have a wait list for our lane swimming and our public swimming and aquafit classes, so we're looking to expand those for phase 2, which is after Thanksgiving weekend. However, our fitness room, we've got a cap of maximum of 12 people per hour time slot, and we haven't reached that capacity yet, so we're still seeing that there's room for growth within our fitness room. So the numbers are significantly down in comparison to fall of last year. So moving into phase 2, as I mentioned, after Thanksgiving weekend, we are going to maintain the same operating hours as phase 1, and we're probably going to look at continuing that through next year as well. So that's an hour less in the morning, an hour less at the end of the day, and shortened hours on the weekend. We're looking at increasing, as I mentioned, capacity in the pool. We're going to continue with the 15-minute buffer between time slots. We're going to continue with pre-registration and the midday shutdown for enhanced cleaning. We are adding in Red Cross swim lessons, as well as the Recope Aquatic Rehabilitation Program will start up after Thanksgiving with limited numbers. And we're opening up our membership passes. So previously people were paying a drop-in fee. Now we will be opening membership passes so people can purchase a month or a 3-month or a 6-month pass, and they can use that pass for their time slots, for registering for their time slots. So moving on to Parks and Recreation projects, we've got community engagement well underway for the Summerland Community Recreation and Health Center. We've completed all our stakeholder meetings. We had a public open house on Thursday evening. It was our first ever Zoom webinar open house that we've ever hosted here with the district. The technology worked really well. We were really happy with how it worked. We had a small group, which was probably good. We had I think at one of the open houses we had for the Parks and Rec Master Plan, we probably had about 100 people come through. That wouldn't work on this format, but we had 20 people, and it worked out really well, and we were able to engage in dialogue. We had 3 different sessions, and you can go onto our website and see the poster boards of all the comments of what people said through those open houses on our website. So if you go to the Rec and Health Center page, you can just review those. Our public survey is open until October 4th, which I think is the end of this weekend. We've had over 400 responses as of Friday. It's an overwhelming response, so really excited to see that people are putting their input in through that survey. So council will see a community engagement summary and a draft needs assessment probably the end of November, the beginning of December. Their consultants will be back to be able to share that with you. Moving on to Fence Dog Park project. We have engaged Leslie Dyke again to take the lead on this project. I do want to add, I believe council is aware that Lutheran Church has pulled out as one of the 5 locations that was being investigated further for a fenced dog park. Julia Street Church now has also pulled out. They have change in leadership within their church group that was activated in March after the previous group did say that they would be interested in a potential partnership opportunity there. Apparently they've had some challenges with skateboarders in their parking lot, which resulted in some concerned residents in the neighborhood, which led them to feel that a dog park might also be a bit controversial in the community. There's a lot of neighbors there, so they've respectfully declined as a location. So we have, we'll be updating our documents to remove that option. Information is posted on the website. The consultant has held stakeholder meetings with various stakeholder groups over the last month, and we'll be updating the information on the website with considering the impact that the input that has come through the stakeholders, and then looking at hosting some sort of online platform, open house question and answer opportunity. It'll likely be a of all the information, and then an opportunity for people in advance to provide questions as well as ask questions on that online platform. And also looking to finalize a survey that will be issued. We're trying to have it after the survey for the Rec and Health Center is completed before we put up this survey. So that's all coming up. Another community engagement project is the South Okanagan Simil Community Childcare Project. We've engaged SPARK, which is Social Planning and Research Council of BC, as the lead contract on this project. They're working with the regional committees. Carameus, Princeton, Oliver, Summerland, and the RUS are working together on this project and assessing the need for childcare in our communities. Public survey was launched this morning. It will be available from September 28th today through to October 19th. So we're just sending out media releases on that, and through our social media channels, we'll be sending out the link for people in our community to fill out that childcare survey. The childcare action plan and strategy is targeted to come back to councils or be completed on in March of 2021. Just a quick update on the outdoor fitness equipment. As you know, we do have the equipment. It's purchased and it's in storage. We were hoping to get it out this summer in Memorial Park. However, that was halted because of the works happening in Memorial Park for the electrical kiosks and the charging station. So that work has been happening through the summer. It's still not completed. And it does line up right where the fitness equipment would be going. So I'm now thinking, since there's still some works remaining there, that we might hold off and putting the equipment in the spring, unless council directs otherwise, rather than having it sit out through the winter months and be exposed to the elements. However, we can proceed if we want to do that once that project's complete. So. Art chairs. Last council meeting, I believe, there was a delegation from Lake Country to council about the opportunity to have art chairs displayed in our community. I've been working with the organizers. We have chosen a location down at Peach Orchard Beach as part of the Spirit Square. There is a really nice concrete area. We talked to Public Works and they recommended not to put the chairs on the grass because of maintenance and having to cut around them and the weeds that could go through them and having to move them around for lawn maintenance. They recommended having a concrete location for them to be installed. And so we looked at our options and came up with that. And we're hoping to get those installed this week if possible. The geotechnical assessment for the Lakeshore Racket Center, that was slated this year to look at the potential of having building new tennis courts in the parking lot area of the Lakeshore Racket Center. So we are still aiming to have that work completed by the end of this year. And what's not in your council report, this is new news. Just been working with a film production company. They're coming into town for 3 days to film a few scenes for the Hallmark film called The Angel Tree. So another Christmas movie, downtown Summerland, or Christmas decorations will be going up back up again. I think we should just keep them up all year. But we were becoming a little bit of a hot spot for some film opportunities. So we're working with the production crews to make that happen. October 13th to 15th is when they're aiming to film, and there'll be some setup prior to that. So with that, I believe council has received the Parks and Recreation reopening matrix as part of your agenda package, which outlines the phasing of reopening spaces. My report, thank you.
Councilor Holmes.
Yes, thank you. I have a few questions, if I may. So about the arena, guys have been asking me 1-hour hockey, drop-in hockey, is that going to be on or not?
Through your worship, we actually were talking about that this morning. Most communities are not doing drop-in hockey. And the reason for that is there's challenges with having people intermingling in an activity where there's contact. So we can do recreation programs and activities where people are not in contact, but as soon as and we can do public skating because we can maintain the physical distancing. VIA Sport has very specific guidelines on how to implement sport with contact. And I've been working with BC Hockey on what those rules look like. So at this time, we won't be implementing drop-in hockey for this fall. We may look at it for the winter, but because of the complications of having the responsibility of the contact in that activity, we're not comfortable with that. And as more communities look at exploring protocols on how they can make that happen, we might look to introduce it in general.
Just follow up. Do we have, so when we have regular programming like that we've had for years and people come to expect it in a way, or do we have a way to communicate that what the plans are or that they're not going ahead? I think we should, rather than just tell people that this is what we're able to do, but I think we should also be telling people this is not what we're not able to do.
Yeah, for sure. And when we look to introduce our public sessions, which is the public skating, parent and taught, we might even be able to do stick and puck, which doesn't have contact. We can also create awareness that at this point, that activity will be on hold, and we can let people know about that. And like I say, we'll monitor it over the fall and maybe look in January to open that back up. We can do some promotion.
And I guess Friday night volleyball depends on the school, like Center State. Can I continue or is something else? I have others.
Sure.
So one thing I've been getting complaints about all summer, and I still do, is and what people really don't understand is why the gates at Dale Meadows isn't open. A lot of seniors use the walking path there because it's flat and it's very easy, and so that they have to end up parking on residential streets outside the gates. And so I just like to understand why we can't open those gates for parking so people can use that walking.
I don't know if Chris might want to add to it. The washrooms are closed, so we didn't have the amenities available. So that was one of the reasons that gate wasn't open. We're not, because we didn't have any sanctioned sport happening at that location was another reason. Because people could access the walking track from just outside the gate, we felt that there was enough space for people to park there and access the walking track or walking their dogs. If there is I personally, through my office, I've had a few comments, but I haven't had a lot of comments requesting it to be open. But if that's something that council would like to see happen, we can explore that. There will be additional costs with the closing the gate at the end of the day, so having somebody to come in and do that. We've had issues with keeping it open overnight and people doing damage to the fields and the parking lot. So I think it would be recommended if we were to open it through the day that we close it at the end of the day.
Might not be worth it at this point.
The plan is to have it open for next year. It is in our current budget right now to do that.
Councillor Barco.
Thank you, Lori. That was a lot of material you covered there. Right back at the beginning, you commented that the soccer was the only ones using the fields now. So what happened to softball? They seemed to want to be able to play in the summer quite badly, and they didn't get organized for a fall league.
I put it back to them to say if they were interested to let us know and give us more details about some dates and times, and we did not get a response back saying that they wanted to put some activity in for the fall. It's a short window of time because we get into winter maintenance starting September 28th. They start doing the winterization of the park, and so I think they might have felt that there wasn't enough window of time for them to host a league.
They usually do though, don't they? Usually there's a fall league?
No,
Oh, I thought maybe you had some particular.
they're a spring league program.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I just want to ask about in Memorial Park at the bike repair station on the corner there. There used to be a sign or a map or something like that, and hadn't been there for a long time. And I'm just wondering what happened to that, and will it be going back up?
My understanding is yes, it's in storage and that it will be going back up. And I believe it was taken down because of the, and my understanding, I think they even put a cement pad down there, so I believe it's going back. I can find out for sure. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Councillor Van Alphen.
Just a comment. Last Sunday was the last farmer's market for the season. I'm only going to speak in behalf of the organizer, but it was very nice to have the washrooms open at the arena, and any of the staff that we had any contact with were exceptional. And I thought it worked out really well. There were a few hockey camps during that time, and parking never was an issue. Everybody seemed to play nice together. So thank you very much for that opportunity to use the arena parking lot on behalf of the organizer.
If someone would like to bring forward this information, to be received for information, please. Councillor Trainer? Councillor Barco? Call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Lori. That was a lot. All right, 7.5, external committee appointments. I will pass this over to Ms. Needham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This particular resolution is being brought forward at Council's request from the September 14th meeting. Councillor Trainer, it was requested to be a council liaison on the Friends of the Gardens up at the Oriental Garden Society. So this resolution is to officially appoint Councillor Trainer, and also to consider whether or not council wants to put some further direction in place for any future requests for council liaisons on external committees. And if council would like us to do that, to direct staff to develop policy for council consideration.
Okay, thank you. Council questions? Or if someone would like to bring that forward. Councillor Holmes
I'll bring it forward as written. Both of them.
and Councillor Van Alphen will second that. Any questions, comments? Councillor Trainer.
I'm just wondering, what would a policy look like, just roughly? Like, what kinds of things would it say?
One of the things that often council may want to know is the purpose of the liaison role. So often there are terms of reference or some kind of guiding principles of an organization. They may have voting rules, so just understanding what those voting rules might be and what the liaison role is intended to be. So it could just provide some a framework for council's participation and what that means to this council.
Okay, so if a group approached council, they would be able to look at that policy and then determine whether they would be a good fit.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Great.
I will call the question then. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. 7.6 RDOS appointments. I will pass this one over to CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So each year, council has the opportunity to appoint representatives to sit on the RDOS board as directors for the District of Summerland. Currently, Mayor Boot and Councillor Holmes are Summerland's representatives. So every year, council will need to confirm by resolution 2 appointments to the RDOS board of directors. Council may choose to keep the existing directors or appoint 1 or 2 new board members. So over to you, council, for some discussion. The council staff recommendation has a couple of blanks for directors and then a couple of blanks for alternative directors. So looking for direction from council on this. Thank you.
Right, council, some questions or discussion? Yes, Councillor Van Alphen.
Can we break this into 2?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Directors and alternatives?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so I'd like to put a motion on the floor that council appoint Councillor Trainer and Councillor Holmes as directors for the District of Summerland on the RDOS board for 2021.
Councillor Barkle, are you seconding that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Some discussion? Councillor Van Alphen.
Well, not discussion, but comment, if I may. I wanted to put Councillor Trainer's name forward for the fact that she was our back alternate. And I think it's an opportunity to step up and represent us. And the reason I asked or put the motion on the floor for Councillor Holmes is that he's vice chair of the RDOS, and I believe that although it's a feather in his cap, it's a feather in our cap in the District of Summerland. It's great to have someone at that level. And I'd like to keep that going if possible. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Councillor Trainer.
Thank you very much for nominating me. I definitely would like to serve on the RDOS board. I've been to maybe half a dozen meetings, and I think it's a really good opportunity for councillors to be able to serve on there because you really get to understand the region and you get to meet people from around the community and find out what other communities are doing, and you learn a lot, and so I'm really looking forward to it. And secondly, I believe Penticton rotates out their councillors every year. So like I said, I do think it is a good idea for us, all of us, to be able to serve it, either as a director or as an alternate at some point during our 4 years.
Any further? No? All right, then I will call the question to appoint Councillor Trainer and Councillor Holmes to the RDOS board for 2021. All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Councillor Holmes.
I'd like to bring forward a motion that council appoint Councillor Van Alphen and Councillor Barkle as alternate directors for the District of Summerland on the RDOS board for 2021.
Seconder? Councillor Trainer. And any further questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Barkle.
I don't know if it's required to say that you accept the nomination, but
It's a
I
good
think
thing.
I've been an alternate before and familiar with the board, so accept the nomination.
All right. Councillor Van Alphen, you as well.
I too will accept the nomination. Thank
Okay.
you.
Councillor Holmes.
If that's the case, I apologize.
All right, any further questions, comments? I will call the question then. Alternates for the RDOS board 2021, Councillor Barkle and Councillor Van Alphen. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to bylaws 8. 8.1, we have a permissive tax exemption bylaw. I will pass this over to Ms. Nino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will ask our Director of Finance to introduce this particular item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The district was scheduled to perform a comprehensive review of the nonprofit permissive tax exemptions in 2020, as the 4-year bylaw has now run its course. Unfortunately, due to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was recommended to delay this process by 1 year, which council did approve at the July 13th 2020 council meeting. The bylaw in front of you, once adopted, will provide for approximately $132,000 in permissive tax exemptions to nonprofit organizations for the 2021 fiscal year. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay. Questions, council? Comments? I guess questions of staff. Councilor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. Just, that I don't see it here, or maybe we deal with it elsewhere, I'm not sure, but there were 4 churches with excess land that we've been gradually reducing their exemption over the years. So I'm just wondering how they fit into this and where they're at now in terms of percentage.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The bylaw that Councillor Holmes is referring to is specific to churches. So the district currently has 2 permissive tax exemption bylaws. We have one for not-for-profits, and we have one specifically for churches. Back in 2016, when council went through the process of creating these bylaws, the reason for segregating them, of course, with churches got 10-year exemptions, whereas not-for-profits got 4. In regards to the 3 properties, the 3 churches that Councillor Holmes is referring to, yes, council did approve a reduction over a 3-year period on those excessive lands. And I believe that this was the last year. So those lands will, going into 2022, will be taxed at 100%. The exemption will then be gone.
Councillor Van Alphen.
So if you could refresh my memory, Summerland Athletic Club,
Badminton Hall.
is that the badminton club?
I believe that is the badminton club over on the corner.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Barfoot.
I would just comment that we've gone through these in detail before. I don't know, I'm not aware personally, maybe there are any significant changes, and I'm quite comfortable just going with previous years.
What, Councillor Van Alphen?
No, I don't have a problem with it either, as long as, are we getting financial statements from these organizations to warrant some of these tax grants that do they have to supply financial statements?
Well, for permissive tax exemptions, during the application process, the vetting process, so for these ones that would have incurred 4 years ago, there would have been a process where financial statements were received, a board of directors, all of the backup was received. On an ongoing basis, the district does not require annual statements. It's once the bylaw is in place for however many years, the approval is granted. There is I believe it's number 3 in the bylaw, where if for some reason a property is sold or an organization changes what it's doing, there's an ability for the district then to remove the permissive tax exemption. For instance, if one of these organizations sold to a private company, of course there'd be a change in use, and that new company would no longer receive the exemption.
Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. And just to follow up on that, do we have a way of knowing if they change what they're doing or if they sell the property?
Selling a property, yes, it's through land titles. They notify us once there's a change of ownership. In regards to usage, there's no formal method, but Summerland isn't a huge town. We do know what's going on within our boundaries.
Councillor Barfoot and Councillor Van Alphen.
Yeah, further to that, you just need to look at the list and you know what's going on with all of these clubs. The Railway Society has a lot of parcels. There's along railway line. The Recreation Society, the Rackets Club, we've gone through that before. We know they're still there. So once again, I'm quite comfortable with what we have, and there's nothing untoward happening.
Councilor Vanel.
Is through our finance department. It's 4 years generally the term, usually, or is there other recommendations that you would have? Or are you happy with that?
The current bylaw in front of council is just for a 1-year extension. The community charter only allows for a 10-year exemption. So when council did go through this process back in 2016, a 4-year term was decided to be appropriate, just based on how the election cycle now happens in BC. So moving forward, this would be a 1-year exemption for the 2021 fiscal year. It's staff's recommendation then that next year during the summer, we go through the application process again, go through the vetting process again. And at that point in time, council would then decide if a 4-year term was still appropriate, or if you wanted to change that to a 3-year or a 5-year, and so forth.
Councilor Holmes.
Yeah, just for Councilor Van Elfen, my memory is that we decided 4 years last time because we found that we were just approving the exact same thing every single year, and it really makes sense. But at the same time, we didn't want to tie the hands of future councils, and so we figured if we did it every 4 years, that would solve both problems.
I have a question then regarding what motions you would like. There's under 8.1 on the agenda, it's a simple first, second, third reading, but on the actual staff report, there's 2 different things going on. So I'm wondering, Ms. Needham, which one there's two resolutions on the staff report, but there's only one on the actual agenda under 8.1. What would you like council to bring forward?
Madam Mayor, we should bring forward the one on the report, I believe. I'll confirm with Director of Finance.
I'm looking at the report online right now. There is only one recommendation.
I'm looking at request for decision, July 13th, 2020. Is that the wrong document I have open?
Sorry, that was the report that we initially brought forward to council asking for the 1-year extension.
Oh, and we did that one.
Yes.
Okay, so we will. Those are done. So I will ask someone from council to bring forward first, second, and third reading of this bylaw. Councilor Holmes.
I'll move that permissive tax exemption 2021 nonprofit organizations bylaw number 2020-021 be introduced and read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Councilor Van Elken, second. Any questions, comments, council? Call the question then. All in favor? Unanimously carried. All right, we are on to number 9, public media and comment period. Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak with us?
There's no one on the line.
No one there. Okay. There's another opportunity this evening, so if people are watching and there's something they'd like to add, you're welcome to join us at 6 p.m. With that, I will bring us to number 10, which is a resolution to close the meeting to the public. Councilor Barkwell, Councilor Van Elfen, all in favor? All right, thank you, and see you at 6 for those that are not part of this next meeting.